So, you think you want to get into drone flying and you have no idea where to start. That's what this video right here is for. This is for the people who think they want to get a drone, but they have no idea what they're doing. They don't even know if they want to get into it. They have nowhere to start. That's why you're here. So, let's talk about drone adoption. And I know that's a silly term. It's not like adopting a pet. It's not adopting a cat or a dog, but it kind of is. Drones are almost in that same category. They need large open spaces to run and play. They need maintenance. They cost money. There's registrations. So they're very comparable. So you'll hear me say drone adoption because that's kind of what it is. So just like before you would adopt a dog or adopt a cat or any other pet, people get spiders, exotic pets, reptiles. You have to do some research first, right? It is very hard to just buy a drone and go right into it and be happy. You of course can go to Walmart or any retailer and buy a drone and just start flying, but you may not be quite satisfied with it, as well as you may not be following the law, which is also important. So that's gonna be my first thing. Before you even get started on looking up drones, before you look at manufacturers, before you start getting into all the who do I want and what do I want, first look up the local laws. Now I'm located in the United States, so I can only speak to the local United States laws. If you're outside the United States, you're kind of on your own there. I don't know those. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to try and give you legal advice for other countries, right? We here in America barely know our own laws. So first look up the laws. There's a lot of regulations when it comes to drone flying, and if you're going to be a drone flyer, you want to be a responsible drone flyer, right? Just like if you're going to be a pet owner, you want to be a responsible pet owner, make sure that they have the shots, make sure that they're fed, make sure that they're well trained and all of that. You want to make sure the same thing for drone ownership. So before you even get into buying the drone, download an app. It's called Aloft. I believe it's now changing to Air Control, something like that. That is the partnership with the FAA to show you where you can fly, as well as any notices in the area and places you're not allowed to fly, such as wildernesses, certain objects. There are no fly zones, and there's a whole bunch of other things that I'm not going to get into, like NOTAMs and stuff like that. They can alter when and where and how you can fly. There's also restrictions on how high you can fly and when you can fly, when it's safe to fly, and things like that. So before you even jump into buying the drone, make sure that you're first looking at, can I follow all of these laws? Can I follow all of these regulations? If you cannot, then drone ownership may not be for you. It might be more fun just to watch videos or watch what people create with it, because I would never advocate for someone to be a drone owner if they cannot be a responsible drone owner. That being said, say you have looked it up, you see the laws, say, okay, I can agree to these rules, I can stay within these boundaries. Okay, now I want to get a drone. So the first decision you need to make is what kind of drone you want. You need to figure out, what do I want to do with my drone? Do I want to just do photography? Do I want to do aerial stunts? Do I want to do videography? Do I want to make videos? Do I want to do cool tricks? Do I want to be a drone racer? All these things are things that different drones can do, but there's no one best drone that does everything, right? Just like you might have a jack of all trades that's kind of good at this or that, it's very rare for something to master everything. So first decide, what do you want to do? There's two main styles we're going to talk about that I have here. Everything you see here is going to be DJI. I am not sponsored by DJI. This is not an endorsement from DJI. This is not a paid promotion from DJI. I simply like their product, and that's what I have on hand. So the two main styles we're going to see here. We have this is a photography drone. This is the DJI Mini Pro 3. You can see it very awesome. It folds up. It's very compact. This drone moves in two ways. It can go up and down, it can go left and right, but it doesn't do any of the diagonal moves. I can't go like at a 90-degree angle. I don't have that full range of movement because that's not what this drone is for. This drone is not here to do aerial tricks. This drone is the drone that I use for my drone business. So when I want to do cinematography, when I want to do a video of an area, if I want to get professional pictures, this is the drone I use for that. The second main style of drones you're going to be looking at are FPV drones. Now you'll see this drone, this is the DJI FPV. It does not have foldable wings, so it is always taking up more space. But because of that, it's a little bit stronger, can go a little bit faster, and this drone can go in the full, if I want to drop it 90 degrees angles, I can. If I want to fly upside down, it's not going to work very well, but I can put it upside down and crash it if I want to. It has a lot more range of movement, but it has some trade-offs because of that. One, it's a little bit heavier because it has a little bit more battery, a little bit more everything to make it all run with all the power, as well as the camera, in my opinion, is not quite as good as the professional one. But again, different functions, right? I'm not using this one to go video professional shots for real estate. That's what I'm going to be using this one for, right? So those are the two kind of main styles of flights, and I'm not going to say one is better than the other. It just kind of suits what needs you have. But do keep in mind there is one major upside and downside with the FPV drones, and that is, in order to get the FPV, the first-person view, you actually have to see it through the first-person view, which means you get a really cool set of these. These are the goggles that you wear with the FPV drones. What it does is kind of like a VR helmet. It puts the screens right in your face, so you're seeing right through what the drone is seeing, and that is phenomenally cool. It is an indescribable with anything else experience. Even more so than flying a regular drone. Flying a regular drone is cool. Putting this headset on may make you look cool, but it also gives you such a cool experience with what you're actually seeing. But it breaks your visual line of sight, VLOS. When you're wearing this, you can't visually see where your drone is at. And in my local area, and I believe this is a United States law completely across, but don't quote me on that, but you must maintain visual line of sight of your drone at all times. Which means if you're wearing this helmet, you cannot be flying alone. You have to have a spotter or a partner with you who can keep the VLOS on the drone no matter where you are looking. And that's actually the main reason why I got out of FPV droning, was because in order to go flying, I had to have a friend come with me, my wife come with me, and it got annoying to always have to ask for favors like, hey, you want to come watch me drone for a little bit? If you have like droning friends and other people who are into it, it's probably a little bit less of an ask, but I'm not in those circles, so it got to be a burden. So I got another drone to go flying that I can maintain visual line of sight on for if I want to fly by myself. The other main differences between these two, as I said, is the angles you can move at. This one, you're not really going to crash. It doesn't have the modes to do things. Unless you're intentionally flying into things or doing something extremely dangerous, chances are you're not going to crash it. The FPVs, you're probably going to crash at least once or twice as you start learning it, as you get cocky, as you do things. The other major downside to FPV that I personally dislike, but it may not be an issue for you, is all the accessories. When you want to go fly this drone, you need to bring the drone. You need to bring the wings. The wings don't detach, but the propellers do, so you need to make sure you bring your propellers separately. You need a remote controller. You need a battery for the headset in addition to the battery for the drone. You need the headset, and then you need all the wires that are going to connect all of that. For me, that was a lot of gear to carry, and honestly, I forgot it a few times, different cables, or I forgot like the battery or little things here and there, so I wouldn't be able to fly at all, and it was complete loss. So having something that was a lot easier, that's just nothing to attach to it, just bring the battery and off you go, since a lot of them can attach to your cell phone if you want to do that, made it a much easier experience for me. Again, that's me personally, not saying that's better for you, not saying it's worse for you. I'm simply saying that was my experience with it and why I switched away from FPV as much. So, once you figured out kind of what you want to do, what kind of photography you want to do, or what kind of tricks you want to do, or racing you want to do, it's time to actually get into purchasing the drone itself. Now, there's a lot of manufacturers. Again, I like DJI. I'm not sponsored by them. That is just simply the drone that I've had the most experience with. I cannot speak to other companies, but there's like Skydio, or if you go to, Walmart or big box stores, you'll find tons of different, no brand name drones that just come off the shelves that come from various different shops. I can't tell you which one is best. All I can tell you is I love DJI. But do your research into which one that you want. All manufacturers are different. Just kind of like if, again, we're going to compare it to cats and dogs. If there's a different breed of a dog, they may differ in different ways. So do your research on what you're going to get. It's going to be an investment. Chances are, if you're buying a $5 or $10 drone from the grocery store, it's not going to be as good as, you know, $1,000 drone from DJI. But you may not need the $1,000 drone. So you need to really figure out what your budget is and what you really want to do with it. Now, we're going to talk about the budget as well, because again, you're adopting a drone, right? You're adopting a new member into the family, and that's going to cost more than just the cost of the drone. Just like if you adopt a cat, you know, you get the cat, that's not the end of the cost, right? You need a bed, you need to get food, you need to get a collar, you need to get a tag, you need to get shots, set up to the vet. There's going to be a lot of costs associated with it. The same can be said for drones. The first thing you're going to do when you get a drone, most likely, is register it. The FAA does have the drone zone where you can register drones. Highly recommend registering drones. Again, check your local laws. It may be required that you register your drone. It may not be required. Check your local laws. But that does cost money. Now, quick tip on that, if you search for like the drone zone to register, I believe it's only $5. But if you just put it into a search engine and say, register your drone, it's gonna bring up a bunch of ads for different areas. And all those different ads are gonna take you to different websites that'll offer to do for you for $35, $50, $80, $100. And basically they just register on your behalf and charge you a huge service fee. So make sure that you're not doing that. But there are additional costs as well. And instead of just the registration, there's also the batteries. With the FPV, this battery will get you anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes of flight time, depending on conditions and, you know, things that can go wrong. Things like weather, how hot it is, how humid it is can affect your battery life. So 15 minutes with one battery. Chances are you're gonna want more than that, right? Like you've spent all this time and money getting the drone, you're learning how to fly it, you wanna be able to go out and do it for an hour or two. So you're gonna need multiple batteries. That's gonna cost money. If you're using an FPV, you may need multiple headset batteries. That's gonna cost even more money. Then good accessories. For example, I highly recommend carrying cases. It lets you keep everything together so you don't forget it, so you can fly it and protect your investment. Well, that's gonna cost a little bit of money as well. Then you have SD cards that can cost extra, wings, propeller guards, so many different things. So when you're thinking of your budget, don't just look at, you know what, I'm gonna buy the DJI this and it's gonna cost X amount of dollars. Well, there's gonna be add-ons, there's gonna be accessories, they're gonna cost more money. And if you're getting the FPV, you're gonna have to factor in crash costs, you know, replacement parts costs. You know, if you break a wing, if you break a camera, things like that, those are all gonna cost money to fix too. So again, just like a pet, you're not just factoring it, it's $50 to adopt the dog, so all I need is $50. You say it's $50 to adopt the dog, but I also need bed, food, so maybe I need to budget $150. So once you've put all that together, you say, okay, I know what I wanna do. I wanna do photography, and I know I wanna go with a certain brand. I'm gonna get that brand. You're actually go and purchase the drone. And the next video is gonna be on that next step. Once you have the drone in your hand, once you have the new box, what do you do to be ready to fly? So thank you so much for watching this far. Thank you so much for enjoying this guide. Please do leave a like and subscribe and all that. It does help me immensely. I do appreciate that. Have a blessed day.